Kia ora. Welcome. My name is Jill and this is my podcast, Cuppa Tea and a Yarn, where I talk about all things yarny that I've been doing with all of my different crafts. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Tea and a Yarn. I have quite a few things to show you today. A couple of absolute disasters and something that I'm really proud of. I'll start with that, and some other little bits and pieces. If you have any input into my disasters and you want to say anything, that would be great. Also, hey, thanks for everyone who did comment last time. I didn't get any notifications that I had any comments, so it took me a week before I noticed. So apologies for not replying straight away, but thank you all for your kind comments. One of them I thought was quite funny, which was, gosh, how many projects I do. So I guess I'll let you know. I don't have children, so I don't have anything else that's competing with my leisure time. I became American then, leisure. So leisure time, apart from work, which is, my, kind of 9 to 5 kind of thing. I don't really have any other hobbies. So I go for walks. I don't do any, at the moment anyway, I don't do any housework. I have a manservant, which is so lovely. My partner unfortunately did lose his job in the lockdown period. So his full-time job now is looking after me, which is so lovely. So he gets to do all the housework and he does all the cooking and the cleaning and grocery shopping and normal house husbandy stuff. So which means I get to do whatever I want in my free time, which is a lot of crafting. And it may look like I have a lot of projects, but I don't necessarily work on them all of the time. Things come in and out of favour with me. Something that is in favour with me and something that I'm really, really proud of, which I'll start off with, because start off on a positive, is I finished my second weaving project. It's very long, so I think it's quite a nice kind of scarf. Could also be a wrap. It's got some tassels. This is my hand spun yarn mainly. It does have occasional stripes of some merino sock yarn, which I believe might be Kiwi Yarna, and one that I got at Christmas in one of those I told you about with my orange one as well. Was she did a Christmas surprise, so you could just order a couple of skeins of yarn and they arrived wrapped up, so you didn't know what you were getting. So I think that was that one, as well as my creamy purpley one. I mean, it's purple, the creamy orangey kind of one that I put into my Vertices Unite. That way one, my warp, was the Anna Gretton, so that's a merino, and I think it's potentially some kind of nylon. I think it's 50-50 as well. Not coming in time, it's very good. It's gonna like that. Why am I proud of it? The ends are pretty good. The weaving is kind of a good tension. There's not a lot of difference from the beginning to the end. The width is the same the whole way, which I think is quite amazing. And it is wide enough to be a bit of a wrap, and see, the width is the same. So it didn't go like in or out or anything like that. It's just nicely nice. I haven't, I'm going to say cast on, but cast on's the wrong word. I haven't warped up my loom again since I've cast off this one. I don't know any of the lingo. So whenever I finish this one, I haven't started anything new yet, but I have booked in at the end of the month with the Hand Weavers Guild in Auckland to learn creative weaving on my rigid heddle loom. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Highlight, lowlights next. I've got a finished object. I've got one and 95% one as well. These ones are both absolute epic failures. One's more epic than the other. The least epic failure is this one. I have finished my not quite the waltzer. So this is the waltzer poncho, but it's not quite the waltzer because I didn't do the colours. That was very blocky colours. I just used it for the increases and the pattern and the numbers really. Why is it a failure? Well, I've tried wearing it. As you see, I put a flower on it. Very nice flower I got in Inverness. It sits in the wrong place, so I'll pop it on. It's really warm. That's good, eh? It's very warm. It's lovely and warm. It's mostly merino. It should be warm. I really like the collar. I like the roll neck. I like how it fits on my shoulders here. After that, I don't like it at all. So I don't know if it's because of where I've put, sort of how long I've made it, or the actual shape of it, but it kind of sits, I like it sits on my hips, so it's quite long. Well, maybe, so it sits about here on my arms. So if you put that down, yes, around about just above my hips. What that means is when I wear my dress and I wear the poncho, I just look like a big square. It's not at all nice on me. It's not flattering, and I'm not going to wear it ever. Apart from it being warm, it might be nice to wear about the house. Who knows? So what will I do? There's a couple of choices. The first choice is to frog it, and that's really probably what I'll do, if I'm totally honest. Because I like it to here, I could potentially frog it to here, make it a yoked sweater. Just like stop there, stick some arms on. Or, ooh, just thought about something else then. A little bit further down, I could frog to there and make it into a swancho. Or could you do kind of like an afterthought heel arm? Maybe like cut a bit here and stick some arms on. I just think that if it's sitting like this and there's my dress afterwards, but if I've got arms sticking out, at least there'll be some other shape than that. Now if you have any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear them. And so I promise I won't frog it for 2 weeks. But otherwise, it is a shame. I don't want to not do anything with it because it's mostly my hand spun, and so there's been a lot of time and effort gone into it. It's a beautiful merino silk in there, and a lot of leftovers from the hedgehog fibres, which I like to make the most out of because, you know, for me they're quite an expensive yarn to buy, and it's a treat. So I like to make the most of every little bit of it. Yes. So a couple of options. There's 3 options really. The option of leaving it is not an option. I also don't want to give it away because I've just told you about how special the yarn is to me. Anyway, it's going over there, and I'm not going to see it for a couple of weeks now. Whilst I think on it, that whole, ooh, maybe afterthought heel thing for an arm. Potential, maybe. What if it would work? It would look weird. Here's my other epic failure. It is the Burrows cardigan. So excited last time I talked to you. I had arms happening. I understood how the arms went on. Look, it's got arms. They're attached to the body. Both of them. That bit was really exciting. I thought, great, I'll just pop it on and see how it's going to look. All I have to do is the button band. It's awful. And I should have known better. I don't have shoulders. This thing sits over here. I think you need to be a bit more shouldery than me. So I popped it on, and it's way over here. So even with the button band of that fat, it's barely going to hang on my shoulders. Epic fail. I should have looked. The pictures showed the lady that had made it, or the models, and it was very over here. If you look at the front of it, the front went from that wide to that wide, and that's that bit where it goes here underneath your arm. So that's the raglan bit here. So the front is that wide. It won't even sit on my shoulder. Really sad, because poor possums. This is my second failure with a cardigan with this possum yarn, and my third cardigan failure altogether. I'm not made for making cardigans, obviously. Clara Jane is sitting there. Clara Jane by Hanging Rock Roost, top down, raglan sleeve cardigan. Seems to be working well. I can put it on, and it's there, and it's fitting, it's on me. The first cardigan I made was one that you did in pieces and you sewed together. Thought it was good, washed it, grew. It wasn't even oversized or boxy. It was just a big sack. It was awful. The second one was like a 50s kind of tight little thing. I thought, great, if it grows, it doesn't matter because it's so small to begin with. But and I swatched and everything, but no, that didn't work. I did lose a lot of weight in between time, but I didn't think it was that much. So that was the last one I made with the possum yarn. That Marie. Choices. Actually, there's only one choice for this, and it's frogging the whole thing. I was trying to pretend that I could frog to here and just not do the decreases for the neckline, but that wouldn't work. And the main reason it won't work is, apart from anything else, let me just show, I don't know if you can see, about here, from here up, the fabric gets denser. The tension all changes quite strangely, really. I mean, they were done at different times. I did the body up to the arm, then it had to go away for a while I worked out how to put the arms on. What had happened in between times was I needed that needle, then I knitted the bottom on. I don't know what needle that was. When I came back to finish this, I kind of started and thought, oh yeah, it looks all right. Did the needle with that, I did the arms with that same needle as I did the top bit with. And this material is so much more dense than the body. The tension is tighter. I think if it had worked, I would have pretended and I'd have given it a good, you know, stretchy stretch or block or squish squish or something, whatever you can do to try and pretend what you've done is not as bad as it looks. But I can't do anything about it. I can't. It's just an epic disaster. Great learning. I've learned a couple of things making this cardigan. I've learned to keep the needle with the project no matter what, and as a consequence from that whole thing is I've just ordered a new set of needles. I don't use fancy needles. I use ones I get from AliExpress. I get a set for $10. They're just, oh, I'll show you, just like metal. It's got like a covered in cord. They're all the same length. Done. And they're all out of their packet, so I don't even know what size they are. But I stick them through the needle holes to try and guess, because some of them are in between sizes, and yeah. And oh yeah, that feels all right. This one, I'm thinking is a number 4 because that's what I'm doing my new one in. My new project, that is. So out with the old and in with the new. Am I sad about that? I'm a bit sad, a little bit frustrated, but like I said, I want to make the most, especially for the poor possums. Got to make the most out of that yarn. Might not do it for a while though. I don't know about you, but once I've made something and it didn't work and I frog it, as much as I enjoy doing the frogging because that's fun and it takes like way less time than the actual knitting, I kind of fall out with the yarn and I don't want to be around it for a while. So that will get frogged and I'll just put it away somewhere, out of sight, out of mind, away, until I'm ready to start again. New. Old, new. This is good. This is a good one. I'm enjoying it. It's fitting. It's a sweater. It's not a cardigan. Oh, I've got it on my tablet here to show what I'm making. So I'm making the Verdure sweater, which is by Amber O'Brien. Amber O'Brien is an Australian designer. I love her shawls. She has some amazing shawls, and every so often I go on a bit of a spending spree and buy some of her what do you call it, patterns. Yeah, and she had a birthday sale just recently and I've got some more. I also went shopping at Spotlight because after my failures, and I wanted to make the Verdure sweater, but I didn't have the yarn and I couldn't use that yarn. I just couldn't. It's just, I can't look at it anymore for a while. And because fail, I thought, well, I'm not going to spend a whole heap of money. Like, I mean, I love my indie dye yarns and, you know, my nice yarns, but this is going to be a sweater that gets a lot of use, and I wanted it to be a little bit robust, and if it goes wrong, it's not breaking the bank. And if I have to frog it and put the yarn away for 6 months, I'm not going to be kicking myself for spending $90 on the yarn. So I went to Spotlight. So the arts craft shop in Tauranga, and I bought some of their made for Spotlight yarn. It is pure wool. It's not pure wool at all. It's only 90% wool. The rest is acrylic and viscose. It's superwash wool. Now I was watching Sweet Tea No Shade, a couple of guys in the States, and one of them, I don't know their names, one of the guys there, he made his first sweater and it was in superwash wool, and he was so excited about it, but then when he washed it, it grew, like it grew in length, and so he was a little bit upset by that. So then I started reading about superwash wool and the washing bits, I haven't done a swatch and washed it because I just don't do that. I've just gone bold on. That's why I'm good at frogging, because I just roll on in and see how it goes. The yarn I've got then, the colour is called, I was going to say mushroom, but that's mushroom, walnut. When I was in the shop, I thought it was grey. It's brown with flecks of like gold and black. It's quite nice. I quite like it. The sweater itself, I haven't got any arms on it, as you can see, but I've done the body. I've made it, so I've made it as long as she said, and if I show you on her, it is very cropped. So if it does grow by an inch, I'm okay with that. Even maybe 1.5 inches, that's fine. Even 2 inches, perhaps. I've done a couple of, I'm going to say mistakes. I've done a couple of changes. I've adapted the pattern. Mistakes. Right, the neckline. The neckline is, it is a high neck sweater. It is supposed to have short rows shaping, so the back is higher than the front. I got confused 3 times. If I wasn't going to do it after 3 times, I'm not going to get it. So I just ignored all of the short row shaping. Then Anne and Carlos said you don't need short row shaping because when you wear it, it automatically decides which is the front and the back, or something like that. I'm sure they said that. And then I noticed that with my party top sweaters, they don't have short row shaping for the neck either. And when I hold them up now, after I've worn them a few times and, you know, they have been washed a couple of times, you can see that, you know, the neckline is like this. So you've got a definite back and front. So that's good. It will work. It makes the neckline look a bit weird. Like it looks kind of strange. Surprisingly, it looks fab. I love it when I try it on. Maybe next time I'll show you. My other adaptation is the bobbles. The bobbles are cool. So it's got like a V on the front and the back. I got to here and I was updating my project on Ravelry, and I just had a quick look at everybody else's, you know, looking at length and that sort of thing, and other stuff that they might have done. And I noticed this one lady's like, oh, that lady's decided to put bobbles over the shoulder. That's interesting. And I went and had a look at the next picture. Oh, that lady did bobbles over the shoulder too. Mm. Then I looked at the pictures and there's supposed to be bobbles over the shoulder. I haven't got bobbles on my shoulders. I'm okay with that. I'm used to not having any shoulders. Having bobbles there would just make them stand out. I don't think it would suit me. Liking this. So I did an arm. The arm didn't work. I frogged it. So I finished that this morning and because I was at mum and dad's and tried it on, and I'd misread the pattern, surprisingly, and decreased too quickly up here. And it was such a tight slog trying to get my arm in. And I thought, well, even if it's superwash and it grows, it's not going to grow that much. So I better start that one again. So frogged the arm. Start the arm again. Do it properly. Right? So I'll wear it. Like it. My other one's in progress. My socks have received some love. Last weekend, should I say, I decided that it's going to be summer before I finish them, so I better sit down and actually do some knitting on them. So I made an effort to do them up to the heels. So I've done the heels on both of them. I do the Flegel heel. I like that one the best because it's less chance of holes, and you don't have to do picking ups and things. I do like the look of a heel flap with the gusset, but the Flegel heel's good and it fits nice, and I don't have to worry about what I'm doing. I understand it. I understand how it works. So heels are done, and we've started on the legs. And I did use my knitting public time today to do some knitting on my legs. Nice. My other work in progress. This one, I'll show you what this one is. This one I started last year, and I finished it, but then I started it again. So it's called Fiddly Bits, and it's by Jana P. Hota. Last year I started this, and I did it, and I've just been taking everything out, getting all of my woolies and my scarves and shawls ready for, you know, the colder weather. And I had all my scraps out because I was going to make another crochet blanket. And I thought, well, there must be something else to do with scraps. So far with my scraps, my sock scraps, I've made 2 crochet blankets, and I made a magic ball out of them for my, is it a faded sweater? Might not be faded. Not Stonecroft. Oh, pause. The shifty. Okay, so when I made my shifty sweater, rather than doing actual shifts in colours, I just made a magic ball and had one solid and my magic ball made out of my scraps. So I had my scraps out ready to do something else with them. I have quite an idea of a crochet sweater, but I don't know if I've got enough scraps for that. And I have a crochet cardigan I love, but it's in granny squares, and when I made it I didn't leave enough ends, and it kind of comes apart, and I have to constantly I have to always have a darning needle with me when I'm wearing it, because bits are always coming undone. So instead what I did do was I had done last year, I think I finished about here. So it became this cowl. And when I was unpacking all of my woolen things and my scarves and my shawls and hats and things, I thought, oh yeah, nice colours. And I put it on, and I thought, oh, because it kind of just sat like this, and I don't really understand how you wear cowls that are loose. Like it just doesn't sit well on me. So while I was recording, Andrew decided to empty the dishwasher, which is brilliant. I carried on thinking that it would be fine. Unfortunately, the phone did pick up some crashing and banging, so here's a little video of some waves around Mount Maunganui last weekend. It's very pretty, and it's a way of saying sorry for the clashing and banging that's coming up. Kind of a bit, I don't know, looks a bit weird on me. So I unpicked it and started again. So I'd quite like to be able to do it kind of tightly, and I don't mind if the next one's a bit looser, or even if it's just a scarf. I think that would be quite fun. So the way you do it is all in the round. So any knots you make are all on the inside, so it doesn't matter about being tidy with your knots or your joins. They just all go on the inside. It's like a big sock. It could be, if I made another one, I could probably make leggings. Anyway, It's really easy to sit there and knit round and round and round. There's no thought process whatsoever. It's nice to have the different colours because then you can see that you've made some progress. That's a good one. Right. Oh, one more other thing that I finished, which is I did some more spinning. So this is the fibre that I showed you last week, well, the time before, week before last, that came with my other things from Anna Grattan. So it is smoky topaz. So that's got Corriedale wool with silk mohair and some nylon glitter. It's very pretty. So there is enough on. I've got another bobbin to make another hank about that big as well, which I'm thinking I might not ply because something arrived in the mail. I am, and I was a member of Hilltop Cloud, the Travellers Club Fibre Club. Last week I showed you the Singapore sling that I'd spun up. So I've had to cancel that. Not because it's really expensive, but when you add the amount of mail on it, it is a little bit more expensive. Plus, I'm really conscious about spending my yarn spending money in New Zealand and helping New Zealand fibre people and our indie dyers and that sort of thing. So I think I've got one more to come. Yeah, I've enjoyed the ones I've had. So this one arrived just the day before yesterday. This is called Athena, and it's merino, alpaca, camel, and silk. Kind of looks like caramel. Why I said I might not make the other one into the other bobbin, ply it into this, is because I think that looks really nice together. So I might spin this and ply it with that. Try it and see anyway. Beautiful. My other fibre purchase is Stitch Punk. So Stitch Punk are the same one as the same lady I bought my socks that I'm making, that I've spun my own socks. And she's on Etsy. So Stitch Punk, and she does her braids are, I like big braids. This one is called The World Is Yours. So lots of fun colours in there. Another thing I'm trialing at the moment is, and I'm just going to like totally go against everything I'm going to tell you now in a minute, but I'm trialing that if I want to purchase yarn, I'll try and buy fibre instead, so I can spin the yarn to spin the fibre to make the yarn, because then it kind of ekes out the process. With our drop of income, I just need to be a little bit more wary of my spending. Aware is better. Saying that, I've spent some money. Not a whole heap. I've helped a friend out. So a lovely lady who we all know. So Belinda's having a bit of a stash clean out, and so I helped her with her stash clean out. I helped her to feel lighter and to have a clean by buying some of her yarn. So she was having a clean out. She'd been posting on one of the New Zealand Facebook pages, to like the stash busting pages, for about a week, and I'd been looking. Oh, that's nice, Belinda. Oh, that's nice, Belinda. And I hadn't bought anything. About the same time, though, I was also looking at this particular yarn, and I don't know why, but I'd seen it somewhere and thought, oh, I quite like that sock yarn. I wouldn't mind some. Then Belinda had some for sale, so I bought it. The same day, she had this for sale. I thought, oh, I haven't seen that kind of sock yarn before. I wonder what that's like. I bet that's really nice stripy. Oh, yes, look at it. Very stripy. I wouldn't mind having a play with that. So I bought it. Then I got this pink thing going on. And this is some merino nylon that she's dyed herself in this fabulous, like, neon-y, patchy kind of pinky coolness. Something really dark pink through to kind of lighter pinks. So I bought that too. I couldn't help it. And I was helping. So those are my purchases, apart from one more. I got a gift voucher for Paper Plus, which is a book and magazine shop. So I treated myself. So about my gift vouchers, it's been my birthday. That's why I've got gift vouchers to spend, not just randomly get gift vouchers. But that would be nice, wouldn't it? So I bought myself a knitting magazine. So it's the April one, just new to us here in New Zealand. And so fantastic to see magazines back in the shops. Loving it. In this magazine, I really like this sweater. Cables and lace, I think. I haven't read the pattern well enough, but I think it's cables and lace. I don't know if it's the colour that's grabbed me, but I quite like this bit down the front. I think that having arms as well might be a bit much for me. I think it's one or the other. It's the arms or it's the front. I don't think that I could do both. It's a bit too fussy. But that's what caught my eye so far. Quite like the cardi on the front as well. But we know about cardigans. We're just trying to keep away from them. Came with this extra little supplement, spring knits for your home. And it's got some cushions and fun things in it. It's also got blankets, which I've never actually thought about knitting a blanket. My friend has just finished one and it took her forever. Now she's got billions of ends to weave in. For me, if I want a blanket, I'll crochet it. It's quick. Crochet it. It's quick. I can do whatever I want with it. I don't have to think about it. I'm not worried about, can you imagine knitting a blanket and you get like 1.5 meters in and you drop a stitch and you don't notice. That would just be awful. Crochet, you don't have to worry about that. Just like easy, because you've only got the one stitch. Anyway, I wouldn't personally make a blanket. I think people that do knit blankets are amazing because they look fabulous. But it's not for me. I can't even do a cardi. So I think that's it. I'm just blurbling now. I've shown you my fibre, my spinning, my weaving that I'm proud of, and my absolute disasters. I do hope you found it a little bit entertaining. And nice to talk to you, and thank you so much again, like I said, for the comments. I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, so if you do want to comment, great. And if you have any ideas of what I can do with that poncho-y waltzer, love to hear them. Whether you think I could make like a afterthought heel, but and make it a swancho. Don't know. I've never made an afterthought heel. I've never cut my yarn. It might give me anxiety, but I'll do it. So what? Just means that when I do frog it, if it doesn't work, it just means I just make a ball there. Anyway, stay safe, everybody. If you're enjoying level 1 and our first weekend here in New Zealand at level 1 and all the freedom that that entails, I hope you're having a fabulous time. And for those of you who aren't there quite yet, please stay safe. Okay, ka kite.